Hi there, everyone. Welcome to Market Faith Online today. Once again, hey, it's always a pleasure, always a joy to bring you these teachings and to share with you things that you can do to grow and scale your business. All right. And I really hope that the teachings have been helpful. So please leave us a comment. And if you haven't done that already, go ahead and subscribe. Hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, hit the like button also. All right. And yeah, that's always helpful. It helps us to reach out to other entrepreneurs like yourself. Okay. So now in this month, we've been talking about strategic relationships. Okay. The importance of those relationships, why you need them, all those types of things. I can't repeat everything I said, so you need to go back to the previous video. All right. But today we want to take it a step further and talk about, the levels of strategic relationships that you need as an entrepreneur, as a business owner in your business. Okay. Last time we started by talking about what strategic relationships what we mean by strategic relationships. The first thing we did was to define what strategic thinking is all about. And we talked about the fact that strategic thinking is about taking a peek into the future and looking at the future based on the trends that you can see around you and projecting what the future would look like so that for yourself, you can begin to position, right, for that particular future. There's a story in the Bible around a particular short guy that was trying to see Jesus, right? And, all of a sudden he ran ahead, okay, because he studied the pattern and he studied where Jesus was going. And he ran ahead on that road so that he could climb a tree so that he could experience and encounter the celebrity Jesus, okay? And so that's what strategic thinking is about. It's about, going ahead in your thought process, right, into the future where you think the future is going and taking a position, taking a view based on that to say, look, based on what I see, this is where we are going to be, right? And strategic relationships really are the people you need for that particular future, right? To help you achieve your goal and your objective, okay? So that's what we talked about when we defined what strategic relationships are. Now, today we want to talk about quickly what are the levels of strategic relationships that you need as an entrepreneur. I'm not saying that these are all the levels that there are or that exist. I'm talking about the levels of relationships that you need for yourself as an entrepreneur in business, as someone who is a CEO, who is a business owner. These are relationships that you need. The first category that I want to talk about, the first level, are the people that are, so to speak, lower than yourselves, okay? These are people that maybe you are higher than them in terms of social class, social status, or people that are for example, maybe, they are secretaries, they are people that, yes, you may be more senior than them, you may have more experience than them, but they are your drivers, they are your people who are providing support to you. As an entrepreneur, you need those people, not just for yourself, but for other people as well. And you need to learn to treat these people right? And I'll talk about why, in a bit, in a few minutes, okay? So, people that are lower than you, very, very important. You need people who, some of them are people that you are mentoring, some of them are people that you are helping, some of them are people that you just engage with on a regular basis, okay? When you go, the next time you go to an office environment, right? Say hello to the security guard. I have, a senior friend who, whenever he goes anywhere and things like that, he tries to talk to people and engage with the so-called security guards and engage with the people that are not necessarily the regular people in the office. So one day I asked him why. And he said, listen, most of these people already feel bad about themselves and the things that they are doing. The least I can do is not to make them feel worse about themselves and what they do. And I learned a valuable lesson that day, right? When you get to an office environment and a security guard greets you, some of us just walk past, greet them, say hello, say hi. In fact, one of the things he taught me was how to ask for their names, right? Ask for their names. Not because you're going to remember, but they just feel good. They feel like somebody's treating them like a human being, especially when you ask, for their names. All right. It's not only when you want to report them to their boss that you should be asking them for their names, right? Okay. The second category of relationships, second level of relationships are your peers, people that you will call peers, people that are on the same level with you. You grew up together and, frankly, even people that be your peers may not be your age mates, right? I know someone who is, we went to school together, but he has gone much farther ahead of me in his career than I have, right? Yes, he's my peer in terms of the fact that we went to school together, but from an achievement perspective, he is really not my peer, okay? And so I must understand that and, relate with him and relate in that relationships appropriately, okay? So it's very, very important that you identify those who you call peers, people who you are probably on the same level and things like that. There are senior relationships, okay? Senior relationships are mentoring relationships, people who are mentoring you, people who are coaching you, people who you talk to get advice, to get counsel on what you need to do, how to move forward with yourself, with your life, and all those types of things, the business that you're doing, all those types of things, right? And then the last category, the last level of relationships for the entrepreneur are clients or customer relationships, right? Now, some of your customers may be peers, some of your customers may be senior relationships, but it is very, very important that you understand, right? That your customer relationships are in a category of themselves, because the way you deal with them, right, is oftentimes very different from the way you will deal with a peer. I remember being in an environment one time, and I was there, some of my fellow classmates from school were there, and some other people were there, and there was a particular person who was also in that conversation, but this person, in my mind, had just, the way I saw him and the way I respected him, it was different. So hearing somebody else call him by his first name was even a shock for me, right? Because I was like, oh no, this person, but it's just when you're in an environment with your peers, the conversation is different, the way you relate is different, and all those types of things, okay? But let me also say this, let me put a caveat out there before I move forward, all right? Not all relationships will fit a particular straitjacket, okay? I'm only saying these things to provide guidance. Not all relationships will fit a particular mode or a particular model. So don't attempt to be rigid with relationships, okay? With time, relationships are like water, in my view. With time, relationships are like water. Water will always find its level. So every relationship is like water. They will always find their level. Whether they will be higher than you, they will be your peers, they will be lower than you, or they will be client-based relationships, okay? Your number one job is to be respectful of every relationship, no matter the level. Your number one job is to be respectful of every relationship, no matter the level, okay? Now, I want to pause very quickly to say something. If you're watching this video and you're loving the content, okay, please go ahead and subscribe. Hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, give us a thumbs up and let us know. And it always helps, and it helps other entrepreneurs see the content as well. Thank you so much. You're the best. Now let's get back to what we're saying. So we've talked about different levels of relationships. People lower than you, peer-to-peer relationships, senior relationships, and then your client relationships. Now, within each level of relationships, there are categories. There are categories within each level of relationship. I want to run through 4 quick categories. The first one are casual or acquaintance relationships. Now, remember when I talked about relationships with security guards and some of these people, right? The reality is that many of these people, especially those ones that are lower than you, they don't demand a lot from you, right? A quick buck here and there, just to say, hey, have this for the weekend, all those types of things, right? These relationships are critical, and they open fantastic doors that some big relationships are really not able to open, okay? So there are casual acquaintance type relationships that you don't really know them deeply, right? But you maintain solid rapport, you maintain, you engage. If there is a need to call them, you can call them, but you engage, and you have and maintain some level of relationships. Not all relationships will be deep. Not all relationships can be deep. All right. Some relationship will be, in fact, majority of the relationships in our lives will be casual acquaintance type relationships. There is absolutely nothing wrong with that. Okay. Just make sure that you are maintaining those relationships, and whenever you see them, you behave respectfully, and then you act appropriately. The second category of relationships, the way I look at it, I like to call them gatekeeper relationships. Gatekeeper relationships are different, are in different categories. There are gatekeepers to individuals, and there are gatekeepers to a group of people, to a category of people, right? So for example, there are certain people that you meet that once you meet them, they introduce you to a network of other people, okay? Within their network, they know almost everybody. They may not be very rich, they may not be leveraging those relationships, but they know people that no matter what you are going through, these relationships always know somebody, right? These are gatekeeper relationships. They are access relationships. There are some people that you know, when you go to a country, they open you up to other entrepreneurs in that country. They are gatekeepers. Some secretaries are gatekeepers. They manage the gate to the life of their CEO. Some drivers are gatekeepers. They manage the gate. You know, you don't want a situation where you are so nasty to somebody's driver that the day the person says, I'm thinking of going to this person's place, you know, is your driver that will say, sir, what are you going there to do? Let's just move on and go somewhere else. All right. So you want gatekeeper relationships. These are critical relationships that have access to other relationships. These relationships don't just hold their own relationships. They hold access to other relationships. Gatekeeper relationships are critical. Everybody has gatekeepers in their lives, and you must identify those gatekeepers, people who introduce you to other people, people who give you access to places that you would otherwise ordinarily never get to without them. All right. The third category of relationships are authority relationships. As an entrepreneur, you need to know people, especially in your field, in your regulatory field, in your government field, right? If, for example, you deal with drugs and all those types of things, in Nigeria, there's an agency called the National Agency for Food, Drug Administration and Control. You need relationships there, okay? In whatever business you are doing, you need relationships with authority figures, right? You need relationship with government. You need relationship with the tax people. You need those relationships. Do not hide from the government, because they will find you one way or the other at some point. You need those relationships. The last one I want to say are partners. Partners are oftentimes peer-to-peer relationships. They don't have to be partners in the real sense of the word in your business, but they are partners because you guys are on a similar journey and you can encourage one another. You can help one another. So one person calls and say, hey, how you doing? What's going on? Right? The other person can say, hey, look, you can compare notes. You can check out what you're doing, look at, the steps you are taking, and, just bounce ideas off them to know whether, listen, these are people to know whether you are in the right path, and you can leverage what these people have. The last thing I want to say, coaching relationships, mentoring relationships. These are also another category of relationships that every entrepreneur needs. You need somebody that is guiding you in the journey of life, because no matter how old you are, you've never been, if you are 40 years old, you've never been 45 before. Somebody has been that before. If you are making $100 million, you've never made 200 before. Somebody is making that. Okay. So you need people that have gone ahead of you, all right, to help you on your own journey as well. Hey, I hope that has been helpful for you today. Thank you so much for listening. Okay. Next week, we're going to take this further. We're going to go deeper. All right. And it's going to be super helpful. God bless you. I'll see you next time.